Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Thomas. I'm a medical intuitive, energy healer, and psychic medium with Radiant Living. Welcome to Intuition and the Clairs. Now, this module is part of our 10-week Divine Healing and Ascension Masterclass. This is week one. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to have you guys here. It's going to be an amazing 10 weeks. And so let's get started. Everybody ready? We're talking intuition. So I'm going to share my screen and share the presentation that we have, and we will go from there. There we are. Okay. So again, intuition and the clairs, that's what we're talking about today. And the importance of tuning in because our intuition gives us so much information, deep, really deep, soul level information. And we're going to tap in, and I'm going to teach you some ways that you can utilize to turn your intuition on and get it sort of that instant intuition, being able to turn it on and turn it off when you need the information. And that's really where we're going today because I know that I've talked about the clairs. And so a lot of people know what the clairs are. We're going to touch on those. But there's a workbook that also goes with this class. And in that workbook, there's a lot more information as well that you can hang on to and read through, as well as there's some exercises in there that you can utilize in order to grow and build your intuition and all of the different clairs, which is how we receive the messages for our intuition. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, so what to expect from this module? We're going to be talking about intuition, what it is, our keys for growth, how we can tap in, and how we can grow and learn and be open and to really receive the information when we need it and build that muscle. Intuition is a muscle. And so the keys for growth and how we can build that muscle in order to, again, get those messages when we need them. We can turn them on and turn them off. We're going to talk about setting the stage, protection, as well as what set commands are, and creating a ritual around tuning into your intuition. We'll be talking about meditation and journaling and automatic writing, as well as we'll get into the clairs, and we'll be talking about how you can practice to strengthen your intuition. So, first up, what the heck is intuition? So, intuition is the ability to acquire knowledge without proof, evidence, or conscious reasoning. In layman's terms, it's that gut feeling, right? It's the feeling that you get when you just know something, right? And again, when we get into the clairs, we'll talk about how different ways that we actually receive the messages from spirit and from our intuition. But the big one that a lot of people, it's that gut instinct that people refer to a lot. That's your intuition. It's when you just know that something's wrong. You go, huh, you know what? I'm going to take a different route to work today. And it turns out there was a huge accident on the freeway and it would have taken you an extra hour to get there. Right? It's that. That's your intuition is, oh, you know what? I know that I need to do something. I'm going to go do that, or I'm going to take care of that, or I need to call grandma, right? It's all of those things, right? Everyone is intuitive. I want to repeat this again. Everyone is intuitive. It is normal. It is natural. And you get to use it however you want to, right? Nobody is saying you have to go hang the psychic sign outside your door, right? Nobody's saying that. You get to use it. It's there to help you and guide you and give you the information that you need. It helps get you on the path to where you're supposed to be going in this lifetime. That's simple. So, again, intuition doesn't tell you what you want to hear, it tells you what you need to hear. And I get asked a lot is how do I know that it's not just my imagination? How do I know that it's just not me telling myself something to make me feel better? Okay. Spirit doesn't work like that. Spirit is going to tell you what you need to know for your highest and greatest good if that's how you ask for it. And so they're never going to sort of rationalize that whatever bad habit you have is a good thing. They're not going to do that. You know, they will give you options and choices and how maybe you can pivot and change and grow, right? They'll give you information on the direction of your life, like whether or not you should maybe take this new job or do something else. Right? Your intuition is very powerful, but it's important that you learn how to trust it, right? And here's the thing too, you're learning, right? So always come from a beginner's mind. When you're a child and you're learning how to ride a bike, you come to it with enthusiasm and go, yeah, sure, I'll learn how to ride a bike. Right? So you have to come from that childlike wonder of just going, yeah, I can totally do this, owning it, right? Letting the fear go, letting the anxiety, that perfectionism go, letting all that go, because when we do, it opens us up to this whole other world of information. So again, it's not going to tell you what you want to hear. It's going to tell you what you need to hear. And here's some keys for growth, right? First up, let's get real. In order to trust your intuition, you need to be deeply honest with yourself, right? About who you are and how you feel and who you want to become, right? Honesty, showing up, being truthful with yourself. Because a lot of this, especially during this master class that we're going to be doing these 10 weeks, we're digging in. We're going to get our hands dirty. We're going to look at some ugly things, some ugly sides of ourselves, some things that we're hanging on to that's not serving us. So it's very important that you stay honest with yourself. Next up is show up, be accountable. Your intuition is a muscle. It's important that you practice. Right? You do not get to be a marathon runner without practicing. Right? So it's very important that you show up, you be accountable, practice every day. It only needs 5 minutes a day. Tune in, be quiet, shh, right? And I'm going to show you some easy ways that you can really cut down that time between sitting down, meditating, waiting for the information, right? We're going to actually help you create ways that you can turn it on, turn it off, in and out, right? And it takes practice, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but with practice, you can tune in, you're on, turn it off, go about your day. Okay. Master your mind. It's really important that you stop judging and criticizing yourself, right? Your mind is a servant. Don't let it run the show. Meditation helps us quiet and get focused, right? When your mind is running on a little hamster wheel, right, and you're going all off, your energy is all over the place. That's really important that you focus on figuring out, you know, how to master that. And meditation is very important when it comes to um, when it comes to mastering your mind and where you need to go. Next up, it's really important that you own your field. Everything is energy, right? Being able to set your field, create clear boundaries, and to gain full use of your intuitive abilities. Boundaries are really important, especially when it comes to psychic protection, energetic protection. And so by setting your field, it will help you not only tune into your intuition, but also set that intention of what is allowed to come into your energy field, as well as what you're putting out to the universe as well. Next up, be open, right? Stay curious. Be open to receiving whatever information you get. Change is challenging, right? And allowing something different and new to come up gives you space, right, for those intuitive gifts to grow. Okay. So allow whatever's going to come in, right? You need to not limit and say it can only show up this way, right? We need to be open and allow whatever's going to come in and know that it's okay and it's safe to get whatever messages that you get. Trust, right? If you don't trust yourself, how can you trust what you receive? Think about, again, I mentioned earlier, think about your childhood and how you just mastered new skills, trusting that you just would. Again, riding a bike, learning your alphabet. You just knew. You're like, yeah, okay, I got it. No problem. So you have to trust that you can do this and trust the messages that you're going to get. Be a Swiss Army knife, right? It's important to try different things. Practice tapping into your different clairs. And again, I'll get into that in a little bit, but you can get it from seeing, hearing, knowing, feeling, touching, right? Tasting, smelling. There's a lot of different ways that you receive intuitive messages, right? Not everything's going to work for everybody. So pick and choose and figure out what works for you. For me, I'm claircognizant. Information just gets dropped into my head. And it took me a long time to recognize that, oh, that's my intuition telling me something, not just because, again, I would wander around going, I don't know why I know this. I just do. So practice, though, right? Through the past, especially 5 years, I've been able to really tune into not just honing in my claircognizance, but also my clairvoyancy, which is seeing. I can see things way clearer now than I did before, but it takes practice. Do or do not, there is no try. Right? Intuition is more about allowing instead of trying, right? Have fun. Again, come from that childlike beginner's mindset and just acknowledge what you get, right? And if you don't get anything, that's okay. Try again the next day and watch it grow, watch it expand, right? Again, I did not get where I am right now without a lot of practice, daily practice, as a matter of fact, right? And years of daily practice. Okay. So do not get frustrated, right? If it doesn't happen today, keep working at it. Keep working at it, and it will grow and strengthen. And very soon, you're going to recognize exactly where those messages are coming from, what they're saying, and being able to harness that power and utilize it in your life. And lastly, remember that failure is your friend. You learn new things. You need to give yourself permission to fail, right? We've been taught our whole lives to distrust our intuition. We've been told to shut it down. Little kids, when they're told, said, "Oh my God, I had a dream about grandpa." And they're like, "No, you didn't. That's your imagination. You're just making stuff up." From a very young age, we're taught to shut it all down. So it takes a while to rebuild that trust and faith, right? So again, it's going to take a time to remove these blocks and create space to build that back up. Okay. So give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission for it to not work every day, right? But as long as you show up and you try, you're going to build it up and it's going to become even more reliable. Right? Blocks to our intuition, right? When we begin to learn something new, we're often way more wrong than right. Remember, when learning how to utilize your intuition, it's okay to be wrong, right? Putting pressure on yourself that you need to be right 100% of the time is just going to block you and create more frustration. Those people who have perfectionism tendencies or like to control things, you have to let go of some of that. This is not something you can control. You have to let go, right? And there's a reason why, you know, not everything that comes out of your mouth, not everything that comes in that you think is intuition is going to come true, right? It's okay, right? And as we practice, we get better and better at it, right? Remember, failure is a learning experience. If you don't get the answer that you expected, try something new or see it from a different perspective. It's all about growth, okay? Ways that you can dissolve blocks. Okay, so there's lots of different ways. And we're also, as we're doing this 10-week course, we're going to be dissolving blocks as we move through the weeks, right? Because some of these blocks to our intuition lives from our inner child. Some of it is old past lives, witch wounds. So we're going to be clearing these sort of almost like level by level as we go through the weeks. But no, there's other ways that you can develop meditation, mindful breathing, which is just like, again, paying attention to your breath, slowing yourself down, becoming present and mindful of your body. Journaling, spiritual exploration, again, exploring different types of, new age topics, those metaphysical things, like what interests you. Laughter. Laughter is super powerful in breaking up stagnant energy. Laughter raises our vibration. Going out and finding a friend and hanging out and laughing raises our vibration, right? And it releases some of those blocks that we carry around. Creating art, music, right? Being creative, confiding, talking with someone, right? Letting it out. When we shove our voice, our emotions, right? Our fears, when we shove all of that down instead of letting it out, right? It blocks us. Exercise is a great way. Massage, energy and healing work, movement, automatic writing, one of my all-time favorite things. Tuning into your body, right? Where do you feel it? Right? And then focusing on like, well, why? Why am I feeling it in my heart? Why does my heart feel heavy? Right? And exploring where and why and what's coming up for you. Right? And by again journaling or automatic writing, you can ask about it and get to the real root cause or bottom of what's causing the block. A lot of times, especially for our intuition, we are blocked again from childhood experiences where our parents told us that's not true. No, you're crazy. I don't want any part of that. That's voodoo work. Religious indoctrination. So much religious indoctrination that lives, especially when it comes to our intuition and our crown chakra. We're going to be talking about the chakras next week in our next module, and that will also be very key. So intuition and chakras are going to go together very closely, along with every module, to be very honest. But we're going to get into that next week as well. And then introspection, obviously, is looking inward, right? Where can you grow? What do you still need to heal? What bags do you still need to put down? It's really important. Next, we're going to talk about creating a ritual. Okay, so tuning into our intuition, it's an instantaneous thing, especially if you create rituals behind it, right? So it's sort of like you, when you sit down, right, and you go to class and you have a piece of paper and you have your pen and you're ready to learn, right? It's similar when you create a ritual around opening up to your intuition. It allows spirit and your higher self to say, oh, we're ready to learn. We're ready to open ourselves up. We're ready to create. We're ready to tune in and get the information that we need. So this is going to really help you get, again, those instant messages. When you sit down and say, I'm open for business, you get the messages and you get out. You say, okay, great, thank you. And you closed everything down. So again, any ritual is an opportunity for transformation, right? To do a ritual, you must be willing to be transformed in some way. The inner willingness is what makes the ritual come alive and have power. So by creating a ritual, especially around creating space in the morning to tune in and get the messages that you need and making it a habit, right? Creating a ritual around it is going to make it sacred, and it's going to open you up in ways that you didn't even know possible. First up is setting the stage, right? Creating a consistent process or ritual, again, to connect to your intuition is going to just help make it more instantaneous and reliable. Steps to tune into your intuition. One is preparation. You want to create a safe space, right? Create a meditative space, wherever that might be, right? And that's going to allow you to establish a really strong connection, okay? Next up is communication, right? So communication, when you are talking about communication, it's the different methods that you receive and interpret the intuition, ways of interpreting your intuition and asking for greater clarity, right? It's communicating with spirit. So once you have your safe space, and then you open up to creating and receiving the information from your intuition, and then it's closure, right? It's activities to close down your intuition a little bit and bring that session and energetic connection to a close. So again, preparation, communication, and closure. Those are our key steps for setting the stage in order to tune into our intuition easily and instantaneously. So first up is setting your space. Again, find a space that's quiet, peaceful, where you can shut the door, where you can create, again, it's like a sacred space. It's a space that's for you, that's clear of negative energy. Find some place to sit, whether that be on the floor, getting a comfortable chair. Finding a good place to sit is very important. Create the energy of the space by using crystals, essential oils, candles, sage. Again, it's ambiance too, right? It's how you feel when you go in there and knowing, like, this is my space. This is where I'm going to tune in, and I have this amazing place that's safe, that's quiet, that's sacred. And I want you to utilize it every day, right? And if you have a small home, carve out a little place in your bedroom, right? Whatever works for you. Okay. But practice is really essential for growing your intuition. So creating a space is very important. So you want to go there and you want to do the work necessary to get the information you need. Setting your field and clearing your space. So we are all energetic beings, right? Again, tomorrow or next week, we're going to talk about chakras and we'll get into more about the energy field. But it's really important that you establish your energy field boundary. And I know I've spoken in some other online forums about the importance of psychic protection. and setting the boundary of what you're going to allow into your field and what you're allowing out of your field. And by doing this, you can actually use something called a set command that I'll talk about, as well as there's very detailed description about what a set command is. There's some examples of both just a general set command as well as the set command I use every morning. But set commands is sort of like how you are preparing your energy field for battle. It's not really battle, but it's sort of just creating this space, allowing only good energy to come in, right? Only good messages. And this allows us to trust the information as well as allows our guard to be put down, knowing that we are not tapping into something that's dark or negative, right? And once you're done setting your space, then you expand it into the area that you're currently sitting in or working in, right? So you work on yourself and then you expand your energy field out to clear the space that you're in, right? And then you bring it back and you can be open and starting your ritual. So a set command, this is a statement, again, that you use to not only establish, again, what is allowed into your field, but also what you're intentionally allowing outside. So for me, right, I call in the divine, right, whoever I want to talk to that day, and I ask them, I'm like, okay, your iridescent spirit, your beautiful divine light is surrounding me and clearing anything that needs to be cleared. And then my set command is my iridescent spirit is surrounded by a blue shield of light that allows only that information and energy for my very highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of others to come through. I radiate out only joy, love, peace, kindness, patience, confidence, compassion, self-love. Okay. And then I say, I joyfully and gratefully thank all messages I received today. Okay. So it's important that you create this that works for you. Everyone's is going to be different, right? And so I want you to practice. So in your workbook, I want you to, when you get to the set command, I actually want you to sit and I want you to feel your energy field. Right? I want you to close your eyes and imagine what it's like. What does it feel like? What color is it? Right? And that's really important because you get to create this set command based on what feels right for you. Right? So for me, my spirit is iridescent. It's beautiful and sparkly. And for some reason, when I created my set command, I saw blue as my shield color. But it can be pink, it can be orange, it can be gold, it can be a suit of armor, whatever it is that works for you. So it's really important that you create this set command that's for you. That being said, once you're done creating your set command, you can also create an action, right? So for me, when I need to tune into spirit and I don't have time to go through the whole spiel of I open myself up, I snap twice. That is, and I've created that as my physical set command, right? That's the action that I do. Like if I'm driving and I'm lost or something, I'll go, hey, where am I going? What am I doing? Where do I need to turn? Right? It's that. When you don't have a lot of time to do the whole, I recommend you do the whole like verbal sort of statement. But again, if you're running out of time or you don't have a lot of time and you need to quickly turn your intuition on and quickly go through, you can create a set command action that goes along with it, right? So again, it's all about intention. So for me, again, I have already just told you my set command, but I've created a set command action, which is again, my snapping my fingers twice allows spirit to know, oh, she's open for business. Oh, okay. That was quick, right? The doors are flung open, boom. But I also know that I've also put my boundary up. I'm protecting myself. No dark energy is going to come in. So it's really important to set your field, right? Because that is providing that psychic protection and energetic protection. And I do this every morning before every single client I have. Right? It's really important that I protect myself from the energy of other people because I know the work that I do, I am tapping into people's energy and I don't want to absorb it. I don't want their bad energy or their juju. I don't want it, right? It's theirs. It's not mine. I don't need to carry it with me. So I tune in, tell them what they need to know, and then I back out and close it up, right? So again, set commands super important. Then you're going to call in your guides. So once you create your set command, right, you say, this is what I'm allowing out, this is what I'm allowing in. Then sit and you can invite your spirit guides, your angels, or other light beings to help you receive the information that you need. So you call in your guides. So for me, when I'm working on a medical intuition session, I will call in my mob squad, as I like to call them. And that's Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, Kuan Yin, and Mother Mary. They're my mob squad, right? So I've labeled that because that way I don't have to say all of their names, but you can invite whoever you want to invite in. You can invite in past loved ones who have passed on. But know that it's really important that you call in who you want to speak to, right? Who you want to get the information from, right? Whether that be spirit guides, your angels, but know that they each have a different unique vibration, right? Excuse me. So by figuring out who you want to talk to opens yourself up, and you're tuning your channel to that vibration. Okay. So once you figure out who you want to talk to, I call on my spirit guides and other light beings to come forward and bring me the information and assistance that I need for my very highest and greatest good. Help me to receive and understand the information I need to know now. That's simple, right? You're asking, ask. Again, spirit can't come to you and give you the messages that you need to hear unless you ask. You have to ask for them to help you, okay? So you call in your guides, right? And then how do you receive messages? One is it's really important that you define your question or the goal that you have for connecting to spirit. For me, every day, for the most part, I'm asking for guidance on my day. What do I need to know today to help me move myself forward, to grow, to learn, to change, to make sure I'm helping my children, making sure that I'm in alignment for my business, right? So my question is often like, what do I need to know today? But you can go in and ask them anything, right? There's lots of ways, but you want to make sure it's an open-ended sort of question, right? You don't want yes and no. You want them to give you messages, right, for your highest and greatest good, and giving them the room to give it to you in whatever package and form that it needs to come in. Check your ego. What are the motives behind why you're asking the question, right? Sometimes understanding why you're asking it actually reveals the answer to you, right? So it's really important that you understand why you're asking the question. Okay? Leave your ego at the door, really. Put it aside. When you tune into spirit, like I said, every spirit, like angels are on a different vibration, spirit guides are on a different vibration, archangels, like we're all on just slightly different vibrations. So sometimes it's easier for people to sort of imagine themselves almost like a receiver, like one of those giant dishes, those satellite dishes, right? Or like for me, when I first started doing this and I needed help really sort of tuning in, I imagined it like a radio where I could just turn the knob and the little like dial, old school radio, where you could just tune it in and you could get it to clear the static, right? So you can kind of just sort of imagine when you're calling in your guides that you're tuning your receiver to that vibration, right? So however you visually want to represent that, whether it be the giant satellite or the radio, it's just going to help you intentionally tune into their vibration, right? And then ask your question and listen to the feelings, the images, the sounds, the knowing like that flows into you. Just allow and remember, again, it takes practice. Don't get frustrated or let that perfectionist mind take over. It's really important that you just allow. Be open to whatever comes, whatever feelings come. And when you're meditating, it's really easy for our monkey mind again, like we get those thoughts that pop into our brains, and just imagine them like ads, annoying ads on a phone almost. Like you just swipe them away. No, I'm good. I want to watch, I want to see the main message on this website, right? I want to tune into spirit. I don't need the ads. So it's swiping the ads away, right? Or whatever visual representation of really taking those thoughts away that are overwhelming your mind, because meditation is really about, again, focus, getting clear, right? And slowing down all of the thoughts that run through our head. Okay, last, you need to know when to say when, right? So don't force it. Right? When the message feels complete, it is, right? It really is. Know when to say when. Don't keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And similar is in a few weeks, we're also going to be talking about meditative or spiritual tools like oracle cards and tarot cards and pendulums. Similar is, when you don't get the message you want to receive and you keep pulling cards, right? That's not serving you. That's not how you're going to get any messages, especially not ones that you need to hear. So just know when to say when, right? Don't force it. Don't try and push it. If it feels complete, it probably is. And then before closing, it's always good to just ask them if there's anything else that they want to share with you, because sometimes their priorities aren't our priorities. And so sometimes they have a message for you that you weren't even thinking about asking. So allow that. Again, be open to whatever might come up. So asking them to share something that's outside of your question, again, opens you up for even more guidance to show up. End scene, right? The ending of your scene of closing things down. You need to, one, make sure you're thanking your guides, make sure you're showing gratitude for the information and for their help, right? Visualize closing your connection to spirit, however you want to represent that, right? Whether that be you closing the door, turning the radio off, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're closing off that connection, right? You don't want to be wide open all the time. You just don't. You don't want to wander around with your intuition and your third eye and crown chakra open all the time. One, it's energetically exhausting. And two, it's just not really necessary. You're going to be overwhelmed with messages from a wealth of people and places and things that you don't necessarily want to be tapped into. Okay. Don't go and be the Long Island medium. You don't need to be open all the time. Close it down when you're done, right? And go about your day. So you can also create an action that represents the closing, right? So if you want to be, when you're done, you want to be done, you can create an action. For me, so I light candles to start every meditative session every morning before I begin my ritual. I light candles. And that is sort of the opening, right? And then I do my ritual, my mantra, I do my set command. And then when I'm done, I blow the candles out. And that, me blowing the candle out, is my set command almost for shutting down my intuition and going, okay, we're done. We're done until I need to use it again, right? And I don't shut it all the way down, right? It's just I don't need to be wide open sending messages out to the universe. Like I don't need to do that. So I close it down to a safe level, right? Where it allows me to get messages that I need to receive throughout my day, but not leave me open to psychic attacks where I'm like at the grocery store and I'm just overwhelmed with like a lot of energy. I don't need that. Okay. So again, you can either visualize it or you can create a action with the intention of whenever I do this, it means I'm done. Right? And then release and clear. So make sure that you are clearing your energy field again. Okay. So imagine yourself being like showered in white light. Again, just clear your energy field. It just allows you to sort of start your day or to complete your intuitive ritual and be clean and shiny and go, okay, I'm going about my day, right? It's just, again, it's really great for you to close down, clear your energy of anything that might have stuck to you, right? Or that you're still hanging on to, let it go and move on, right? So meditative tools. So we quickly talked about meditation. And meditation really is about slowing down, slowing your mind down, and being able to focus and be in the present, right? Being in the now, the power of now. And it allows you to harness the power of your mind versus allowing your mind to run all over the place. Okay, so there's lots of different meditations that you can use. There is guided meditations and there's mantras. And so there's a wealth of different ways that you can meditate. And so if your mind is extremely busy and you have a hard time, meditating using a guided meditation might help you, right? Where you can actually follow along. Especially this is really great for people who are clairvoyant, people who see pictures as their intuitive main talent or way of receiving the information. And guided meditation allows you to visualize things and to see it and to follow along, and it gives your brain something to do. So guided meditation, especially for beginners, is a great way to tap in versus just sitting there in the quiet or with some soothing music and trying to quiet your brain, right? So you'll get there, but sometimes it's just easier to start with a guided meditation to help you, especially just get control of your brain and give it somewhere to go. There's also so many different guided meditations that depending on what you want to achieve. Um, and you guys have access to my meditation vault, which is in my membership group, the Align with Divine membership group. And you guys have access to all of those. And so there's a bunch of different guided meditations for chakra clearing, and there's one for meeting your spirit guide, and there's one for divine feminine healing. So there's a bunch of different meditations that you can tune in that are guided, that are going to help you get there, right? Especially if you don't want to just sit and be quiet for 10 minutes and your brain goes all over the place, right? So for beginners, it's really easy to use guided meditations. Mantras is a really great way as well. And so it's repeating different phrases. I don't use mantras a lot, but there's definitely some out there. You can find them all over the place. You can kind of Google different mantras and find them. Again, I don't really use them very much, but it's available to you. And that's malas, if you've ever seen malas, which are the long beads that people wear. And I think it's 108 beads. And it's sort of, you say this mantra 108 times. And you go through all of the beads. And that's when you know that you're done meditating. The other thing you can do is journaling. What's interesting is that I use automatic writing versus I use actually both of them, but automatic writing is where I really tune into spirit. And if you go into your workbook, there's some definitions around journaling and meditation and automatic writing and how you can use them. For automatic writing, I really tune in, and it's about tuning into spirit and opening yourself up to your subconscious or to your higher self or to asking spirit for messages and writing it down. Uh, I use automatic writing all the time. Excuse me. And it's a great way for me to get what I need on a piece of paper versus meditating. And then when I'm done meditating, forgetting what I was thinking about or what spirit might have brought me. So I find automatic writing really useful because I have a piece of paper that says it. And for automatic writing, what you do to tune in to spirit for automatic writing is you want to find a quiet place to start. You put on some music, something ambient, light a candle, and then figure out who you want to talk to. If you want to talk to your higher self, if you want to talk to someone who's passed over, if you want to talk to your guardian angel, whatever it is, whoever you want to talk to it. And then you put your question on a piece of paper, right? So you write who you're going to tune into, you put in your question, and then you just keep writing. So it's like, what do I need to know? How can I change? What do I have to do differently today to create the life that I want to be? So you ask the question over and over and over, and you want to really pay attention and write for more than 5 minutes. Okay, so automatic writing, it's important that you write for more than 5 minutes because it allows your brain, this ego front part of your brain, and it allows you to move back into your subconscious, which is where you're really open to your intuition as well as your higher self. And that's so moving back there, but it may take almost 5 minutes to get there. I've done it for so long that it takes me maybe 30 seconds to go from my conscious mind. So once I start writing, they're like, oh, okay, we're doing it. So start by writing the question over and over and over again until all of a sudden you just sort of get different answers and just start writing, right? And don't question what comes up. Don't get in the way. Don't edit yourself. Just write. And you can type this up as well. You can use it for typing. Personally, I don't connect that way, but you can absolutely use online. You open up a Word document and start typing. That's if that works for you. I find pen to paper works best for me. And then you just keep writing, right? And you write and write and write and write. And then you'll all of a sudden just sort of know when it's done, when you're done. The messages will sort of slow down and stop coming. Your handwriting may change. You'll sort of tune in and be like, oh, and sometimes it's very difficult to read your handwriting when spirit is sending you lots of information and you're trying to write really fast. So when you're done, go back and read and kind of try and I sort of go in and rewrite some of the words so that I can actually read it at a later date. But then keep track of it. right? Because a lot of times they're going to give you messages that you can use. You don't necessarily have to use all of it right now, but it's a great way of getting messages. I use it for building my business. I get messages on what I need to do next to build my business, what classes people need. To be honest, this uh, divine healing and an Ascension class came from an automatic writing session. So again, you never know what you're going to get. So the difference between automatic writing and journaling is really about introspection and sort of putting yourself out on paper and being able to see clearly and giving yourself awareness of what's going on with you. And so for journaling, I find it more about talking to yourself, right? And getting the words out, the things that you're holding in, the things that you want to let go of, and putting that down on paper and bringing it to life and awareness so that you can heal it. So I find that journaling is a little different from automatic writing, mainly because it's more of a introspection type versus like receiving. But they're both very useful, right? For as far as a meditative practice, because journaling those that like morning pages of getting all this stuff out, you're still getting information from yourself, right? You're tuning in, you're getting information. Um, it's just slightly different on how you receive it. So again, in your workbook, you have some more information on how you can use automatic writing, as well as journaling and meditation. So let's talk about the clairs. Okay. So there's four main clairs, but there's actually seven that I know of. But I'm going to mainly talk about the four main clairs because these are the ones that most people have a dominance in. And so most people have one that they're dominant in. Everybody has access to all of them, but it's one is usually a lot more powerful from a receiving point of view, than some of the others. So clairvoyancy is seeing, clear seeing, right? These are the people that remember their dreams and they're vivid, right? When they close their eyes, they can visualize in color and down to the very specifics, right? A lot of times, so clairvoyancy is about seeing. So spirit will give you pictures. It'll look like movies. It'll be just little drops of like, um, again, it's like pictures and thoughts and just colors, right? It's that. Clairvoyancy, they can see things, right? They use their third eye to actually see. And it's a very it's one of the main um, clairs that, especially like Hollywood and stuff, that's like the one that they show most often is I'm seeing, that's that's sort of how they show it. Clairaudience is hearing. Okay, so these are the people that are really tapped into music and the lyrics and hearing. Just they are moved by lyrics and music. Um, it's the people that they hear their name being called even though there's nobody in the room, right? It's the high pitched buzzing sometimes that we receive, where we're like, what is that, right? It's the little shift in energy and the ear starts buzzing. We're like, what is that? That's spirit trying to reach us, talk to us, right? So clairaudience is often hearing. So it's clear hearing, from a spiritual sense. Claircognizance is knowing, and this is my main dominant clair, and it's just knowing. Like these are people that kind of people are always like they call them know-it-alls almost. It's like, well, how do you know that? And you're like, I have no idea why I know that, but I just do, right? They love learning through books and reading. So those are the I knows, right? It's just messages are dropped into their head and they just know stuff. And this is really one of the most complicated ones to accept and to trust the messages that you receive because it really does sometimes feel like, well, is that my imagination? Am I making it up? I wouldn't know that. Why would I know that? That doesn't make any sense. So it sometimes being claircognizant takes people a little longer to trust the messages because they don't believe that they just think it's their imagination. And then clairsentience is clear feeling, right? It's the people that are empaths. It's the people that when they walk in a room, they can sense the energy of the room and know that Sally and Jim over there, even though they have a smile on their face, had an angry argument before they showed up at the party. And they're just like, I'm going to stay away from them, right? So they feel things. They go to the grocery store and are just like, oh my God, what is going on? What's happening? Right. And they get feelings. So like when they're meditating, all of a sudden their heart will feel heavy, right? Or they will feel choked up, right? So clairsentience, they feel, they know things through the sense of feeling it versus seeing it, knowing it, or hearing it. So the other clairs, again, that I'm just going to briefly cover is clear, clear smelling, and that's like when you walk past, when you're walking and you smell smoke or you smell your grandmother's perfume, right? That's where it's that clear smelling. And smell has a very powerful connection to our memories. And so oftentimes, again, people who have this as a relatively dominant clair, it's linked to their memory very often. And so sometimes that's how, especially loved ones that have passed over, will show up for us, is in smell. There's also clear tasting, which is clear gusta, and uh, clear gus. Anyways, clear tasting, and so those are, so sometimes like when you're watching the sort of those crime shows where they go see a psychic, and she's like, "I taste blood." It's that, it's a taste of copper, or it's, they can taste different foods, right? Depending on the sort of, and they're like, "I haven't eaten anything, and yet I taste this." Right? That is clear tasting. And then the other is clear touch, which is they can actually feel spirit touching them, or they can hold objects in their hand and know what this object, like who's had it, what its purpose was, like where it came from, the history, the origin. It's that tangible sort of, they put it in their hand and they know. These are people who can't go into an antique store and walk around, because it's just like, whoa, no, there's way too much energy in here from the objects. Right. So clear touch is knowing through actually touching and feeling, or spirit actually touches you. Not one that I built up a great deal of power with, but just know that that is a clear. So how do we put this all together? First up, remember to set your stage. Create the ritual, right? Before we meet on Wednesday or at some point, I really want you to create your ritual, setting the stage, right? And by practicing it daily, right? This will allow you to just get better and better at it. It's going to be repetition. It's going to be a habit, right? Trust what you get. Start where you are. Release the judgment that you have, the perfectionism, and comparing yourself to anybody else. Stop it, right? Stop. Release judgment, let go of perfectionism, and don't compare yourself to anyone else. This is your journey. This is your growth, right? This is what you're here for. And keep track of your messages. So get a notebook, and anybody who knows me already knows that I am a notebook. I'm a hoarder for notebooks. And so I have a notebook for everything. See, I have one right here. So I have a notebook for everything. And so keep track of your messages, right? And this way you can look back and go, oh my God, I got that message and that came true. Or, oh my gosh, I got that message, and when I put it into practice, it changed my life significantly. So keep track of the messages that you receive. And remember, when Spirit starts giving you a whole bunch of ideas, you don't have to necessarily take action on all of them. You get to prioritize them. So sometimes when you're open, Spirit's like, ooh, brain dump session. Yes. And they're going to like push it all in and be like, oh my God, how am I going to get all that stuff done? So just, it's okay to prioritize and say, this is what I'm feeling like trying now. But by listening to your intuition and taking actual intentional action on the stuff that you receive is going to just allow you to grow and grow even more. And Spirit will bring you more and more, right? They are never going to feed you through a fire hose, right? It's a muscle. We have to build it up. Right? They're never going to give you more than what you can actually receive, but it takes time and it takes practice. So for homework, so we have our live call on Wednesday. And so before our live call, make sure that you're creating your own unique set command. Okay, so I want you to set your stage. I want you to create your ritual, and I want you to create your own unique set command. And this is up to you. You get to do however you want. You do you. Okay, my command doesn't necessarily have to be your command. Okay, so I put it in there as a reference, but you get to create however you want. And then there's some intuition practices that are in your workbook that I added, as well as I want to remind you that you can practice this even with like your kids, or just at home with playing cards, right? You can guess red and black, right? This is intuition practice, right? You can, when you're driving down the road, you can guess the color of the car that's going to come around the bend, right? It's tuning in and just going, I'm going to practice and have fun with it, because when we have fun with it, right, it brings joy and it opens us up and our vibration is high and we're positive and having fun, and it allows us to be really open to the messages that we receive, right? So don't get stuck in the mud, don't get like angry, right? Make it a game. Have fun with it. So again, with my kids, I would play cards. I'd be like, okay, guess, is this red or black? Right? And we would make a game of it. Who got the most right? Right? So you can do this. You can do all of these different things, but there's also a couple of other practices. One of them is called Big I, right? Or Big Mind, big ears, that kind of thing. I think it's all at the very end of your workbook. And so when you tune in, I want you to do for each of your clairs, and this will help you also figure out which one's like your main dominant clair. And so when you do it, you set your stage, do your set command, right? And then I want you to visualize your eye, your third eye, right? Or I would visualize my third eye as being this huge all-seeing eye. It's like the eye that's in what is it, the Lord of the Rings? That I don't know what it's called, because anyways, it's that giant eye that sees everything. And just play with it and be like, I can see everything. I can see all the way down to the most minute detail and the biggest, most brightest spiritual thing. I can see all the colors, right? So knowing that this giant eye can see anything. And then so then once you're done with that, you do that practice. And another day, do it with your ears. I can hear everything. Quiet your brain and just be like, I have the giant ears of an elephant or whatever you want to visualize, and listening, right? And this is all about practicing and tuning into how do you receive the messages, right? You can tune in your feeling, right? Imagine that you're just this big radio receiver of feeling things, right? Same with knowing. I know everything. I'm an encyclopedia, right? And just see what comes in. Right. It's all about tapping in. We're going to do another practice on Wednesday during our live session. And I have to sneeze. I'm so sorry. Hold on one second. Excuse me. So on Wednesday, we will do a meditation. We'll do a little bit more practice. I want to hear what you guys all have done for your set commands. I'll be posting some stuff into our Facebook group as well for you guys to share what you guys have learned. Because again, this is a experience and there's 10 of us in this group, and I want to make sure that we're all sharing and growing and learning from each other. So I hope you have a fantastic week. If you have any questions, please post them in the Facebook group. And refer to the workbook. That PDF workbook has a lot of information and useful tools in there for you to tap in. Practice automatic writing, right? One of your homework sessions is to practice automatic writing, right? I want you to see how, and you can practice all of them, to be honest. You can practice meditation. You can practice different meditations. I'm going to practice doing 5 minutes of silence. I'm going to practice mantras. I'm going to practice a guided meditation. I'm going to practice journaling, right? This is for you. You get as much out of it as you put into it. Okay. So if you have any questions, please post them in the group. I'm happy to answer them. And I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. All right. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you soon.